Welcome to Bridging the Realms, a place where we ground cosmic wisdom into physical embodiment. Get ready to explore deep esoteric truths and the raw messiness of the human experience, because here we are about integration and not bypassing.
Through Marston's psychic channeling and multidimensional mediumship, Lauren's astrological wisdom and clinical expertise, we explore the edges and expand our consciousness into new realms of understanding. So grab your tea or a glass of wine and relax as you come to the remembrance of who you truly are. Alrighty, we are live. Hello, Marston. How are you doing today?
Hi, Lauren. I'm doing so well. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be talking to you. Every time we chat, I feel like my life literally shifts. I was actually just thinking about a week ago, our conversation, and how much just more confidence I have in aligned action and walking the path to create different timelines. So go back and listen to that episode if you're anyone listening around manifesting, because Marston never used the word manifesting, which I think was important. Honestly, I was thinking about that telling you, because I loved how you talked about timeline work without using that buzzword. And I think it clicked for me in a different way because of that. That makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I'm so glad it clicked for you and that it was so impactful. Because I mean, really, that's what switched on for me. Like when I started on my spiritual journey, right? Like I was hearing all the buzzwords, manifestation, spirit guides, like you hear like what this new, I keep saying new age, but that's really like, the new age spirituality movement, right? And and it was really it was also intriguing to me, and I wanted to learn more, and I knew it resonated, but I was like, there's something else here. There's something deeper. And then when it started kind of coming through in the form of downloads of like quantum physics concepts and just like how this really all works, which is manifestation, it's just using different language. That's how it's for me too. So I'm really glad that resonated for you. I feel like that's important to like another example of what we've talked about with language and how like all these things are really, it's all the same conversation, just wrapped in different language.
Absolutely. And I think, well, first off, if you're listening today, we're talking about telepathy, which is another form of language, which is really funny. Now that we're talking about that. And I think language is so important even when we do this, because we could be thinking something and know what each other are talking about, but maybe someone else on the other side doesn't. And so I also thought about that after last week of like being so impeccable with language, which is also one of the 4 agreements. Now that just dropped in. But it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
true. I mean, what you were saying with like, knowing what the other person is thinking, and just this is what like you and I do when we get in this flow. Like, this is what it's like to be in the flow in the channel with whoever it is you're talking to, whether or not they're embodied or not. And this is actually, I love the segue. That's how it's channeling through right now. You can be in the flow and in telepathic communication with someone who's not in body, someone who's not in this physical dimension, which we'll get into all of this, which is how I receive a lot of my communication is telepathically from these beings, from spirit and mediumship and channeling. But it's interesting because it works the same way with somebody that we're talking to in another body, like me and Lauren right now. I mean, this is like the language of the universe. This is energy. And when you're locked in, it's like quite literally just these light cords like beaming back and forth, from your electromagnetic field to mine, from your third eye to mine. And it's like we'll receive these concepts before they're verbalized. So we'll know often. Lauren and I do this all the time, if you guys can notice at all. But like she'll start saying something and I'll like start nodding because I'm like, oh, I know exactly where she's going with this. Or like, and vice versa. You'll start to know something before I say it. And then we start talking too quickly because our thoughts are getting ahead of our words. But that's telepathy.
So true. And I love that. And today you're going to channel through me, like together, like you're going to channel for me. And so it's going to be so fun to watch how quick that comes about, of watching you in that flow. And you guys, she does live TikToks every Sunday. And I just got to watch you live channel, and it is the coolest thing ever. And how you really do just drop in to people's guides, to their own channel. It's just wild, even just on TikTok live and just other people asking questions and you being able to just do it. It was so
Yeah.
freaking cool. And so I'm excited for it to happen here so you guys can witness it if you're watching the video. And yeah, that's why we do start talking, and it's our Aquarius.
I
We're
love
both very Aquarius people, so we're
Oh,
fast.
very, very, very. And thank you for saying that. It's so funny because I've always been such a fast talker when I like it's funny because I'm always very articulate and I'll enunciate my words, but and sometimes I can really be slow with what I'm saying, but it's because it's coming through so clearly. And then other times the channel will just be so fast and I'll just be like, oh, and then like I'll forget to even breathe. And so it's just funny how like the cadence can kind of pick up and slow down depending on like what wants to be emphasized and how it comes through. So yeah, we'll talk about more about that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's awesome. So let's get into telepathy, because truly the astrology, and I said this, well, I went to a workshop 7 years ago, an astrology workshop, and he said, this older gentleman who's been studying for decades, and he was like, in 2025, when Uranus moves into Gemini, telepathy will become the main form of communication by the end of that 8-year transit. And what he also said was, that is why we all need to be healing our stuff now. Because he said, with Uranus being the planet of collective thought, being able to attune to someone else's frequency thought form, and then it being in the sign of communication, it's going to create that as to be our normal communication. But Neptune, the planet of unity and blurring our consciousness together, is going to be in Aries. And he was like, if you have not identified your wounds, taken responsibility over your own karma and trauma here, people are going to be able to read it so clearly. And I didn't 7 years ago really understood what he was saying until now with telepathy, of when you walk up to someone and you can feel their anxiety or you can feel their fear. And I'm like, oh my God, because now we're attuning so clearly. Maybe I don't know exactly what they're thinking, but you attune to that like kind of energy. And I was like, this is
Yep.
what he was talking about. And it's crazy 7 years later to be here. And now we're talking about it.
Oh my God, this is so cool. So I love all of this so much because it is so relevant. And I don't know, Lauren, have you listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast by Kai Dickens?
I'm halfway. So, yes, I know about the hill, and I haven't heard
Yeah.
after the hill.
Okay.
So
So
cool. It's so cool.
oh my God, it's amazing. And this is really like the new human. This is our new potential. This is consciousness expansion. And this is what happens when we start moving into fourth density consciousness. And when we do start exploring into these outer rings, as I like to say, rings on the tree, because then you start overlap. You have the potential to overlap with other rings, right? With other tree rings that are also operating in these outer densities. And that's like what they reference in the hill in the telepathy tapes, right? Where these people, these autists, but also other people too, who are doing this work and who are exploring these realms, can go to have experiences with these beings, extraterrestrial beings, extra dimensional beings, these kind of astral realm beings of sorts. And what's so cool to me is that whoever ran that astrology call that you were on 7 years ago was exactly right, because 2027 in the gene keys or human design, I know you said 2025, but it's all wrapped together because Richard Rudd talks about this. He founded the gene keys. 2027 being the year of the new human, it's the human genetic mutation taking place. And I think this is so amazing because this is what I've received in my downloads and telepathic communication as well, which is that we are moving more toward a telepathy based communication, and we have everything to learn from people on the autism spectrum. And I mean, this is just like across the spectrum, not just nonverbals. But um energy is the language of the universe. And so many, in my experience, like through my lens, many of these extraterrestrial civilizations, including the human ones, are already existing where telepathy is their main language. And they have ways of kind of guarding, and it's like there's etiquette, just like there is here. Like you wouldn't say something to someone, right? Like that's rude or unkind.
Yeah.
They're the same way with their thoughts. So it's just like another step. And what I've learned when my guides made contact with me was one of the first things they said was, your thoughts are so loud. Like, you don't realize how loud your thoughts are. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, one, like, yet another thing for me to worry about intrusive thoughts with. Don't tell me that. But it is true. And they were saying it's not so much intrusive thoughts, like those are passing and fleeting. It's what you put and place intention behind, and what you have emotion behind, and what you keep repeating and just emitting out to the field. And that has to also to do with the frequency that we're emitting at any given moment in time. That has to do with what we think about ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves. But also, I mean, I have some stories about where telepathy actually came into play with me before I knew that I was tapped in like this. And it made me feel very displaced at like friend dinners. Like, I mean, truly, like people who were my friends, quote unquote, where I would go and I would pick up this energy of like, I know they were either just talking about me before I arrived, or they are thinking something about me that doesn't match the words that are leaving their mouth. And I remember feeling very confused by this because I was like gaslighting myself. And we don't realize how common this is, because every single one of us is innately and inherently telepathic and energetic in nature. So we pick up on these subtle subconscious energies without being aware of what we're picking up. And then we leave like a conversation or interaction being like, why do I feel like this? They were so nice. They didn't say anything wrong, but something here doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, because it just reminds me of like when someone's mad at their partner or someone feels the type of way and they're like, what's wrong? And like, nothing. And it's like, no, you can read your partner's energy. You're on the same frequency. You live together, you know. And so when you say nothing and then the other person gets mad at you, it's because they're picking up telepathically. This happens so much when I had
Yeah.
therapy clients. Because the other person either was unconscious of what they were emitting
Mhm.
or emitting or they just like weren't ready to share it, but it's like that person picked up on it, and so yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
That's
interesting
exactly
why
it.
it's
That's
happening.
exactly it. I mean, and that's what we need to learn. And I remember even like with some of my friends who kind of fell away when I started stepping into, this version of myself and the work that I'm now doing, and what I'm speaking very openly about, that a lot of my friends just didn't have the capacity to understand or hold space for. And I remember being with certain friends when like my psychic and mediumship abilities were starting to really crack open. And I remember I would start kind of mentioning this to some of them without getting into details. And what they were saying was okay. Like it was by no means like very supportive, but it was like nice enough superficially. But their thoughts, I remember thinking this at the time too, even before my guides came in and made contact. I remember, yeah. So I remember thinking, you know, your, your thoughts are really loud because yeah, you were kind of saying the right things, but your energy was saying something very different. And I left just feeling like, and I think this is what causes a lot of dissonance. I can think of very specific, one person in particular is coming to mind very clearly right now. She actually disinvited me from her wedding because she didn't understand like what I'm doing. And so it was like this whole thing. Um, and I remember just feeling like I felt our friendship separating a while ago because I was so tuned in without really having the language to describe this. And she was under the impression that like what I'm doing now just came out of the blue and came from nowhere. Um, but I had really like already kind of been talking about this. She just wasn't really listening and couldn't really hear what I was saying, or like didn't want to believe that I would actually do something like this. But because my intentions were pure and what I was saying was matching my energy, I don't think she was quite picking up. Like it was like there was a dissonance um, of what was being said and what was being received, if that makes sense.
Yes, I would always tell my clients there's four people communicating. Two egos, a soul and an ego, the other person's soul and the ego, and then the two souls. And that is why there's so much miscommunication between people at
Yeah.
times.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to put that. Because it's so true. I mean, and I think that's where intention comes from. Like my guides have told me, just in different downloads and whatnot, you can be you and I've talked about this, you can be operating at such a high frequency, at such a high level of consciousness and intelligence, if you're operating from authenticity, like you can still be this high frequency, right?
Mhm.
But they've told me that it's not so much it's not intelligence, it's intention is the true measure of consciousness. And I think that is so cool to think about, because that's when it really matters. That's when like the intention is of integrity, right? So like it might be it's coming from a soul-led place, a heart-led place, but it's something that your ego is on board with, even if it's not necessarily what your ego like wants or thinks it wants.
Mhm.
The two are talking in harmony. And
Yes.
so that I think that's when we can really like harmonize and be resonant with the same frequency that we're receiving.
Yeah, like your defenses are down. The ego is just like, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
totally, totally. So yeah, it's just interesting to think about all this. And I love that the telepathy tapes came out after I was like kind of coming to these realizations on my own and with my guides. And then I felt so validated listening to these stories and listening to the fact that like this research has been deeply suppressed intentionally, obviously,
Yes.
because they don't want people coming into their true power. And that's what this is. If we can learn to communicate telepathically, which we are already doing on a subconscious basis, that is like a major catalyst for consciousness expansion.
Totally. And what I've noticed, okay, so that guy said 2025 because, July 7th was when Uranus moved into Gemini. And what I've noticed since then is my mom and dad, they're both heavy Gemini people. They will be talking about someone, haven't talked about this person in years, they've called. Literally
Mm-hmm.
years, right? It keeps happening. My mom keeps calling me like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Cuz you're a Gemini, you're opening up to this ability." And
Yep.
in 2027, like you're saying, when the gene keys is the year that all the outer planets stay. So we still have through 2025, Uranus is retrograding back into Taurus, Neptune's retrograding back into Pisces, and Saturn's going to be back into Pisces. This next year and a half is where we can really do the internal work to attune to what you're speaking of right now and learning to trust it. Because in 2027, it's going to be fast, it's going to be quick, and it's going to be I don't want to say painful for people. I mean, we have talked about that the shock that is coming
Mm-hmm.
if we don't harness the next year and a half of really doing
Yep.
the work of trusting ourselves and trusting this communication, because in 2027 this will be new, and if you're not under kind of with it or getting it, at least opening up the door, it's going to be scary, it's going to be weird, there's going to be a lot of fear around it.
There will. And I think that's, I'm actually just writing about this in my book right now. So I love that this is what's coming up, because it's about like the people who are kind of fighting this or resisting this new information coming in, because new information will contradict oftentimes what we have built or constructed our realities on, and the information like leading up to this. So we're so accustomed to resisting anything that's new or anything that contradicts what we think we know to be true or what we've been taught to be true. And so what you're talking about is like the perfect example of this, because people will be experiencing ontological or existential shock when this happens, because they're going to be confronted with this information in a way that they cannot ignore or deny. But that resistance, that element of still like, no, I'm rejecting this, is it's gonna be what makes it so difficult, because it's happening either way. And like just because you don't want to believe that certain things are true, doesn't make them not true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was
So
thinking about how you just said that we're learning a lot from people with autism. And I was driving this morning and it made me think about how masking was the way that a lot of people on the neurodivergent scale had to just function through reality.
yeah.
And now the mask is going down. We're
Hmm.
encouraging people to be more authentically themselves, to not mask, to fight against the system that has created them and forced them to mask, to be in that sit in the chair, think funnier, da da da, right? The patriarchy.
Yes.
Um, and that is falling, and not only for people who are neurodivergent, but for everyone in telepathy of like, there's no more masking
Hmm.
because we are going to be loud. Our antennas are going to be up. And so it's
Yeah.
becoming so authentically you, because either way, you're going to be seen. And that fear of being seen, I think, is such a fear for all of us for different reasons. Core wound.
Mhm.
But that came up for me this morning, like, oh, we're all our masks are coming down. So now it's like, how authentic are we going to
Yeah.
be?
Oh my God. That you hit the nail on the head. I mean, and because it's we cannot ignore this. Like we're not going to be able to hide our intentions anymore. Like it's going to be so transparent. And I think
Mhm.
that's also where, like, right now we're seeing the beginning of, the crumbling of Hollywood, um and the crumbling of like these idols, and we're seeing the rise of what people are calling like the micro influencers, right? Which are like it's just like building these micro communities around the world that are all kind of talking to each other like a what's it called, a micellar network, the mushroom, like the mushroom, is it mycelian?
No
I
idea.
think it's mycelian, mycelian network. But anyway, it's
Oh,
just
like
this
under the
network of,
trees.
yeah, 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 it's this network of communication taking place. And so it's like all these communities, these like little hubs that are then like informing and feeding into each other. And so we're going to see, the rise of authenticity really taking center stage, and the complete collapse of idols. This is about us all meeting each other where we are, and learning that no one is the hierarchy is false. That's a patriarchal capitalistic narrative, and it's falling. And like the more people try to kind of resist that, the more they're going to come up against this. And I think that's really like when we think about this consciousness expansion, when people say like the new earth or moving into like 3D to 5D, like there's all those buzzwords around it. But that's really what this is really just kind of the dismantling of like propping up the pyramid, and it's just us kind of all meeting each other where we need to be met and rising together. It's not like us, it's not someone rising on the backs of the others. It's just built on authenticity.
Yeah, and it is happening at such a fast rate, and the system's fighting against it. I mean, the people on social media who are really speaking truth are becoming more and more suppressed. And something that I've
Yep.
never seen on TikTok is I've never seen the same video multiple times. My feed is cycling videos now, and it's the
Yeah.
same people. I'm not seeing anyone new on my For You page, and it's the same video. I'm like, whoa, TikTok algorithm has never been like that before. And they know that as these micro communities rise, we are all rising with it, and they're just
Yep.
trying their hardest to suppress it. But the light it's gonna break free. I mean, because we're all
it,
tapped in
it is.
now, right?
We
Like,
are like everyone's already kind of like, oh, wait a minute, like even if you're not fully on board with what we're talking about, you're at least curious. Like you're at least a little bit, there's something in you that's a little sparked, like, huh, more and more people are talking about this. I wonder why. Like, and that's all it takes. You don't need to be on board with everyone right away. You don't need to be on board with everyone at all, but like, it's going to happen either way. So I think that's really what this is like, it's just a little seed planted here and a little seed planted here. And then something else comes in and it waters that seed. And you're like, huh, there's more to this than I thought. And so they can't stop that spread because it's already happened. I mean, this is like we have already won, so to
yeah.
speak.
Yeah. And even the analogy of the mushrooms underground, it's like when you cut down a tree, it does disrupt. That's why it's so sad when people are just leveling their yards for grass. It's like you
I
guys are
know.
disrupting the complete ecosystem underneath. But mushrooms are intelligent and they figure out how to get to one another. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Like, no matter how much you want to suppress apps, there's going to be a new app, there's going to be new things, people are going to be louder, and it's going to work.
It's going to work. Yeah, exactly. It's frankly, it's just too late.
It
It's
is.
too, like, they're not going down without a fight. They're going down kicking and screaming. And it is going to get more chaotic for the next, I would call it 18 months. Um, I mean, I would love to know the astrology behind that, of course, but like it's gonna get a lot more chaotic. It's gonna get a lot deeper, and just like because this is what has to happen. Like you have to go deeper to go up further, and like the deeper you dig, the darker it gets, the denser it gets, and it's also like cleaning out a wound. Like for generations now, we've been putting a band-aid on a bullet wound, and this is like, all right, now it's time to really get in there and clean out the wound and remove the bullet. And that's a really messy and uncomfortable and painful process. And it's the only way to really create meaningful healing and to regenerate those cells.
Yeah, and to think about the astrology, wherever the eclipses are landing is oftentimes eclipses represent fate and destiny. It's times, especially in ancient times, where people did not know what was happening. Kings were dying,
Yeah.
power was being exchanged, right? People are being eclipsed. And so they would stay inside because they're like, whoa, what is happening? Obviously, you could see it in the sky, but also on Earth, they could find a correlation. And so the signs are so important. And right now it's in Virgo and Pisces. And the North Node's in Pisces. So we're awakening to the interconnectedness of all of us.
Yeah.
But February is the first one in Aquarius, and that's where Pluto is. And that is the authenticity, the community aspect, because it's Leo Aquarius axis. So from February, for another 2 years from there is where the eclipses are coming. So it is going to be earth shattering. Pluto literally cleans out all the things that have been decayed, put it on center
Hmm.
stage, makes us look at it. And so it makes sense that it's 18 months because that is during the Leo Aquarius eclipses where it's going to blow the popsicle scan. Like it's kind of right now we're all like, okay, my intuition's building. And then it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, extraterrestrials, which is actually probably a great time to even talk about that with telepathy, because when the
Yeah.
North Node hits Aquarius, all of us are going to be eclipsed in this area of our chart. And this is where interdimensional being, I don't even know, just said that right, will be more mainstream. And
Hmm.
we're going to have experiences, which is also about the fake experiences that could come too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just
I'm
realized
like,
that. I was like,
well,
yeah.
which one are we diving into first? I mean, I feel like let's stick to telepathy for this, but there is a lot more to say about all of that, the false narratives. Um, but it is interesting. So more and more people I get asked all the time, like on my TikTok lives that I'm doing now. That was my first one on Sunday. So I imagine I'm really excited to see like what continues to happen and unfold on them. But I love it because people are asking all sorts of questions about can you tell us more about open contact and like what that will look like? And I love these questions because when I first started learning about open contact, I was thinking like, it's like a layering process. Your consciousness can only understand through the filter and lens that like it's currently operating on. So like if you hear open contact and you haven't like really reached this level of awareness of like what extra dimensional or extraterrestrial beings actually are, and like what is the multidimensional nature of our world, if you haven't like thought about that and you hear open contact, you just think aliens, you think spaceships dropping down from the sky, landing on the Washington DC lawn, otherwise known as the White House lawn. I don't know why I said it like that.
I
But
love
like
that.
you think like D-Day, or like just it's like the anarchy. And I think what
Which
people
I
need
would
to
say because
understand,
of Hollywood, that's how they posed it to us.
100%, and it was done that way intentionally, which we'll have to get into more because that feeds into the false, like kind of the control narrative with this. Um, oh my God, I'm like there's so much coming through right now about all this. Like it's like what's actually going to happen versus like what they're going to try to paint is happening. So I guess I'll just say from a truthful standpoint of like what's actually happening here with open contact is more and more people will be receiving telepathic contact first and foremost. More often than not, I would say 9 out of 10 times, contact happens energetically before it happens physically. So, like I was told in my contact experience, it was very, very real in every sense of the word, and physical in certain ways, but not like in my physical reality. I was taken to another location through my consciousness and experienced that physically, but these beings weren't presenting, like I couldn't like touch them like I'm touching my water bottle, in my physical reality. But that comes next. So like this was like the preliminary initiatory phase. And so many more people around the world, first of all, many people around the world have already experienced this. And a lot of people don't really know that it is what they're experiencing. Like I've had so many people message me being like, I actually, what you said just made me think. I had this kind of weird experience and I wanted your like thoughts on this. And I saw these orbs or I saw these lights and I received this really warm feeling of like love and I got full body chills and kind of felt like I was floating. And then I heard a voice say something to me and I'm like, yeah, like that's what this is. And like, but like people don't know that because we have never been taught about any of these things,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
And so more and more people are going to be having experiences like this. And if we meet these with fear, which by the way, like benevolent contact like this will never incite fear. It's going to make you feel so loved and so taken care of and so supported and so excited. And like you never want it to end. Um, Actually, some people have reported like being depressed afterward because they were like, wait, like
Yeah.
come back.
I could see
So
that.
I just want to say if something happens where you are fearful and it incites fear within you in your body and you're like something's not right here, that's not benevolent. But that's not gonna happen because those beings are no longer like doing that here. They've been kicked out. So really it's kind of a moot point. But the reason I say this is because if you feel fear because it's the unknown, because it's a vibrational frequency that you might not recognize, that's okay. They're not going to do it. They're not going to scare you. Like, they're not going to come in and just be like, hey, it's us, and like reveal everything and be like, by the way, extraterrestrials exist and we've been here the whole time. Like, no, that's not going to happen for you. They're going to do it in a unique, individual way based on your own life path and your soul agreement that you have. They're going to do it at a time when it is most relevant for you to experience in your life.
Well, I'm
And
laughing because that is me. Like, I'm
I know.
terrified. And as much as I believe in this shit, like full body, I'm still terrified. So I'm so excited for you to channel
I was
later.
just gonna say I can already feel it coming through for you.
Yeah. So I'm like, if you're listening and you're like, what the fuck? That's so scary. Aliens. I'm like, girl, what people, I'm with you. So I get it. And I love hearing you say it because I
Yeah.
truly feel like someone's gonna pop in the corner and be like, sup? Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
No, yeah. Like and and I just want to name that, right? Like I don't want to be here being like, everybody needs to welcome with open arms, like and be ready for this amazing experience. Like, no, like I'm never gonna say that. But what I am gonna say is it is going to be happening more and more and more. And it is nothing to fear. It is very much an experience to welcome, but it's going to be done at the right time. And like if you're not ready for it and you're not and you are in fear, like your guides know that because because you're always in telepathic communication and because time is nonlinear. So like they're it's not like they're with you like when people I just want to like say this too. When people are like, "Oh my god, my guides are watching every move." It's like, yeah, like yes, but no. Like they're not like with you when you go to the bathroom. They're not with you when you want privacy. Like they know these things. They know if you want to be like intimate with yourself or with your partner, like they're not gonna be like, hey, like
I've
they
never thought of that. Like I've just never really thought.
it's so I get people asking that a lot. I thought that too. Like that
Yes.
was something that I thought about. I was like, nobody look, I'm going to the bathroom. It's like you don't have to actually say that. Like they know that because time doesn't exist for them the way it does for us here. Like they're aware of where you are and what you're doing and like they're not going to like tune in, right, and be like talking to you or watching you. Unless it's something that they should be aware of or something that like you kind of want them to be
You
there for.
you shared and I think this is really fascinating that they tracked your heartbeat or something.
Mhm.
So they like it's almost like a GPS, I feel like, and they can come to you when they needed you because your heartbeat was up or you needed them.
Yeah. So this is something that I like a lot of people who would resonate with the term starseed have. So like for me, and it's not everyone has this,
Okay.
but more and more people will. And like the more that you kind of expand your consciousness into these realms, it is kind of like a protective measure of sorts. But I have been taken on board their ships like multiple times when I'm asleep. They do this when you're unconscious because it's not meant to be like a part of your experience that you're conscious of, because that would then inform that would kind of interfere actually with your own evolution. And so like they don't, right? Like if you're meant to have that experience in your awareness, you will remember that. And more, and this is kind of part of open contact, Lauren, more and more people will be remembering these experiences and having these experiences. I've talked to two friends now who have told me similar stories about having dreams. It's so wild. Having a dream where like they were kind of like visited in a way, and like something was done to their body, not in like a violation way, but just kind of like it felt like a routine procedure, and they were greeted like welcome back, like it, but they were now able to remember this memory. So this actually happens to us a lot, where we'll be taken up and we'll just have like checkups done. Like they just monitor us. They want to make sure everything's good. If something's like not good, then they're going to kind of do some tune-ups, to make sure that we are, flowing with our life path. We are flowing with what our soul came here to do. Like if something's wrong in our body, they're going to make sure that we kind of, if it's meant for us, like if we're meant to have a specific disease or illness or whatever, like if that's kind of part of our contract to overcome, then they're not going to interfere with that. But if it's not, then they're going to kind of find a way to like fine tune it. Does that make sense?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have several different implants trackers. One was done through actually a malevolent abduction when I was a child. I don't know if you and I have even talked about that, but
We have.
okay.
What age were you? Because I have been
Uh,
thinking about it from an astrological transit.
oh, I was, I think 11, like 10 or so. It was when I was in Breckenridge, Colorado at my grandparents' house, which was in the mountains, also in the woods. It was very secluded. And we would go to, the reason I say this is because we would go to Breckenridge around like between Christmas and New Year's, and my birthday's a week before Christmas. So it must have been like right when I turned 11.
Yeah. So I want to look when we do your chart. I want to look at the transits happening because I'd be
Yeah.
very curious since it was around your birthday. A lot of the planets are likely going to be kind of near your birth chart. So we'll get into
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. And this was like not supposed to happen. So this was like a malevolent abduction that millions of people unfortunately have. I know we're kind of going like getting off topic here, but like have experienced in their lifetimes through like the grays, specific types of grays. Not all grays are malevolent, but these are the beings I was referring to earlier that are no longer allowed here. So these abductions aren't happening, but there were a lot of genetic experiments taking place, and there was just a lot of really bad stuff going on. So they actually implanted something in me. And then my guides, what happened later was they kind of like reconfigured what was implanted in me and like kind of like repurposed it or gave me a new one. There was something like with that. So that they then monitored me for everything else. So basically those like grays that had taken me before tried to once again take me multiple other times, but they weren't able to because my guides like had this monitor within me. So like they knew whenever someone another like being would try to come in, they were aware of that and could stop it. So there's that implant tracker, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people have those, but then there's also like the heart rate monitors. So if this is really like to alert, and this is what I say, like your guides aren't always just like watching you. So, like they're doing things too. They have their own lives. But if we were to have something happen in our lives where like we have a spike in our heart rate, like something really scary is happening and like it's like a near death experience, this basically like immediately alerts them so they can immediately be wherever you are, to like prevent whatever it is from happening in one way or another, if it's not supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
By you
Mhm.
saying that too, I don't know, there's like a sense of peace of especially with the food down here, everything is toxic, everything is cancer causing
Yeah.
intentionally, right? They're trying to make us
Hmm.
sick. So it's like, wow, like if that is your path to overcome, it makes sense. And if it's
Hmm.
not, like there's kind of a fail safe. Like your guides are looking out for
There
you if
is.
that's your purpose, which is kind of
It
cool.
very much so is. And I love that you said that because they have told me, they're like, this is kind of a part of this. Like, yeah, you volunteered to come do this mission on Earth, but we also like kind of asked you to. So like we're doing this together. This is our partnership and agreement. And like we're gonna keep you as healthy as possible. Obviously, like we're not going to override your free will. If you choose to like eat these processed foods all the time, like that's your decision. We're going to guide you not to, but like, free will is above all, is above all. But they're like, but we do recognize that Earth is largely corrupted in many ways. And so we're going to do our part to like keep to make sure that you're able to fulfill this in the way that you're meant to fulfill this.
Beautiful.
So yeah. So anyway, those are the like the trackers, implants, the heart rate monitors. There's like all these different, devices that are used. They like wouldn't show up in an X-ray. Like this isn't like ancient technology like we would use here. And we're actually stepping more into this. Like actually, Neuralink is kind of a part of this, and consciousness transfer, which is a whole other topic. But this is what we're moving into, and this is actually all telepathy based because it's all consciousness based. This is like we could talk about 0 point energy and the crystalline grid and how crystals are like can power an entire city. Like this is energy that's not, it's non-physical in nature. Um, and so anyway, this is how they started like talking to me initially, was through this telepathic communication. And I'm telling you, the first time it happened, I felt this click in my ear. It was like I had a device, which now I know I do, but I just didn't like really have the language for this at the time. But that is telepathy being used. But it's also like it's not, telepathy isn't like through a device necessarily. It's through a certain um level of consciousness that you actualize. And then that's how you're able to then communicate through energy with literally anybody and anything.
So when you are experiencing this conversations with them, is it you're seeing visual images? Are you hearing? Like, what is it like for you?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So it's kind of it depends. Sometimes when they're showing me concepts like quantum physics concepts, I will be shown this through, and the best way I can say this is I'm looking with my physical eyes at the screen right now. I see you and I see me. Um, but what this would look like is like a projected holographic movie scene. It's not just an image, it's like kind of moving. um and it's like three-dimensional in nature, and it's like I could rotate it if I wanted to. I could like look at it from a different angle, and it's projected like right here, so it's like I can kind of see it, but I'm also seeing you. But
Uh-huh.
my focal awareness is placed on the screen, not the computer screen, the holographic screen in front of me. So it's like there's this layered dimension, or like a veil almost, that then like just kind of places itself there. So it's like I'm watching it on a screen. And so that's how a lot of these things will come in, is that it'll be like this download kind of dropping in, and I'll feel it. I'll get like crown chakra tingles. Afterward, I'll usually get like a really splitting headache because it's like so much psychic energy coming in. Um, and then other times I'll hear them. Like I'll just hear plain as day. I want to be clear about this. Like clairaudience works in different ways. You can sometimes hear, like when I get like mediumship or like psychic information, sometimes I'll hear a word or a phrase in someone's voice, like an older woman's voice, someone with an accent, like depending on who it is that's talking to me. Other times I'll kind of just hear as if it's like a thought coming through, as if you would hear a thought like, oh, I need to remember to get my laundry out, like something like that. It'll come through that, like as subtle as that sometimes. And then other times it'll just click on, and I'll hear like a full blown sentence, and it's like we're having a conversation. And it's wild because when this happens, it catches me off guard, and I'll catch myself trying to think about what I'm going to say, and then the voice I'm talking to, my guide, will be like, we know what you're thinking. Like it doesn't operate like think and then speak like we're used to. It just
Mm.
operates like just let it roll, let it ride, which makes it difficult a lot of times.
Yeah, which goes to the 2027 genetic mutation that the human design's predicting, right? In the sense
Mm-hmm.
of these new beings are so intuitive emotionally that they're through evolution, right? We're going to not need that back and forth to your point of speaking anymore because our bodies are
Yeah.
genetically different, where it's just like, yeah, I get it. Like they're just
Yep.
telepathic. But just the way you explain that makes so much sense of like, you don't need to think anymore. It
Good.
just is there.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that makes sense because it is it's weird. It's like learning how to walk again. Um, it's like how to it's like learning it's flexing a new muscle that you didn't know was there. It's you know what it makes me think of is like the first time I did solid core Pilates, I was so sore the next like for days after in muscles that I didn't even know I had. And I was like,
Oh.
how did these get worked like this? I didn't even know they were there. That's kind of how this feels. It's like I don't know how to it's learning how to communicate in a new way than everything that you've been taught to communicate because it's
Which
just
makes
a stream.
Yeah, and it makes sense because in astrology, Mercury, the planet, is your linear mind here on Earth, and Uranus is in the sign of Gemini, and Mercury rules Gemini. So it's being destabilized the way we think, the way we talk, the way we perceive. That is literally Mercury and Gemini in our birth charts. That's what it represents down here. And so with this planet shaking up everything we've known around communication, it's not just it goes to how we think, it goes how we speak, it goes how we perceive things. All of that is what you're talking about. And so each of our minds will be interesting to see how our individual charts are reflected. So my Mercury's in air, yours is in fire, yours is in Sagittarius. And yours technically is very karmic because it doesn't like to be in Sagittarius because it likes to be in Gemini. So your mind is already very expansive. It doesn't follow the linear path that society would want. And so you were
So
able to kind of like tap into that. Yeah, easy, I think, because that's
yeah,
kind of your karma here of, oh, I need
yeah.
to do this quick. And that is why your Mercury was in Sag.
Interesting. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So I'm doing I'm doing it right. I'm harnessing the energy of Mercury in the way that it's wanting to be harnessed by doing this.
Yeah, because Sagittarius is all around that freedom aspect. It's around
Yeah.
that really wisdom and understanding things from a higher perspective,
Hmm.
from a spiritual perspective, the gurus, religion, all the things up here, where Gemini is down here, math, science. How does the universe work? Which now we know is all being turned upside
Right.
down. But for
Yeah.
centuries, that's been Gemini. And so your Mercury is in the opposite side. So you really do get these concepts very easily because that's how your mind works. Where someone who has a Mercury
Oh,
in Gemini, they're extremely smart, very intellectual. They got math, science really well. They can chat, they can talk, but we're moving, I don't want to say away from that, but we're expanding that. And
yeah.
your brain was there. But maybe as a child, I don't know how you did with speaking and learning, but it was actually a little bit harder in the patriarch because it was designed to be very linear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I was always a
Uh,
really good and I was actually like, really good at school, um, specifically with math and reading. Science was hard for me because I feel like I was already tuned into like what these concepts were, but like the way that they were shown in school, like was not, it just like was not supportive for however I was meant to do it. And I just learned how to take tests, how to pass tests, you know, how to like be a good student from a young age. Which I feel like directly contradicts what I'm here to do. So
yeah.
that makes
So you
sense.
assimilated really well to
Yeah.
society, but you always knew like this isn't really how I learn or understand things, but I'm going to do it to be able to get past and get through the system I have
Yep.
to get through.
100%. I was like, oh, okay, I get what they want me to do. Now I know how to do it well. Like it was kind of like, oh, here's the mask. Okay. I like this mask. I can wear it.
I'm
That's
trying to think,
exactly how I felt.
which makes sense because you're a Virgo rising.
Hmm.
And so Mercury rules you. So it is the most important planet in your birth chart. And so even though it's in its detriment, it's still so important to you. And that's where I find traditional astrology to be interesting. There's this person on TikTok right now that's like, any modern astrology is wrong. It blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? Like, yes, traditional astrology holds so much amazing ancient information. However, we have grown consciously. So to just be like, nope, that's bad, and your mind is bad, it's not
Yeah.
real because your mind is beautiful and it's so intricate. And it doesn't, you can't say hard and fast, oh, Mercury's a detriment, you're going to be dumb. No, you're a Virgo rising. It's so important. And also it's in Sagittarius with so much other energy. And so I just find astrology is progressing. And so we honor ancient traditions and we also understand that it's progressing. And so to only go off of tradition, I think loses a lot of substance, where her debate is the complete opposite, that modern astrology dumbs it down. I'm like, pop astrology dumbs it down, not modern
Yeah,
astrology. I think there's a difference.
definitely. And I think that's a perfect example too of like, once again, everything comes from perception. Like, what paradigm are you existing in? Because that totally dictates how you perceive anything. Like people operating in a different
Uh-huh.
paradigm from what you and I are talking about right now would listen to this and be like, that's insane, you know?
100%.
Amazing. Okay, do you want to do the channeling now? I'm just keeping an eye on the
I was
time.
going to say that almost was like that perfect segue.
Yeah,
Yes, I do. I'm so excited.
me too.
Do you want me to give some background of kind of what I'm seeking? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so just quick background. In April, I left traditional therapy. I'm a full-time astrologer. I teach astrology, and I really feel like that's what I'm called to do in some form, right? Just breaking free from traditional realms. And I started a mentorship program in June. It was a record month for me. It was amazing. I was on this high, and then July hit and everything just stopped. And I think it's because I like launched one-on-one programs, and that's really what I was going away from. But the scarcity mind is like kicking it, right? It's like, oh my God, but what if it doesn't work out? And what if your husband has to go back to work? And, all the what ifs are coming in. So I've been really trying to work with that and like regulate my nervous system and things like that. So that I'm curious about where to go. I've been having clarity of like stick to teaching, but I also just am curious what will come through around that and just trusting aspect. I'm also going through my Saturn return, all this stuff. And then
Yeah.
on the other side of it, I'm feeling that guides have been around me. I've been practicing with them, trying to trust them more, but there's like inherent fear that does come up. There is a being in my house. My husband is extremely logical. He even is like, no, there is something in our house. There's been a lot of situations where it's been coming up, but I'm scared, and it's so kind. It's not doing anything scary, and that's why I know it's something that's protecting most likely my child, because it's in the nursery. But it's just really interesting. I had this inherent fear. So I'm also, and it kept coming like, Marston's going to talk to your guides about it. Like it feels very past lifey. I don't know. So those are the two things that I'm just curious
Okay. Amazing. There was already so much coming through. So let me just take a moment here and just tap in. Lauren, this is so funny because on the live, when your guides came through, they came through with this playful, like giggly energy too. And it's very much like they're kind of like, hee, like she wants to know. And it's like okay, so a few things. They're like, she wants to know practical first because they say like it's important for you to feel really safe and supported. Like they're basically showing me, I mean, that's like obvious, but they're showing me with regard to learning more about them and like the extraterrestrial component, spirit, like the spirit in your house. They're saying it's really important for you to be able to feel grounded and supported in your day to day and what you're creating before you can feel safe exploring these other realms. And hang on, just so it's interesting because my throat is also I keep feeling like I have to clear my throat, and they're saying this has everything to do with like the way that you're speaking and communicating, which is actually like it's going to be changing more. It's interesting because they're saying like, again, I know this came through in the channel and the TikTok, but like they're just like showing me this energy like of applause, and they're like, we're so proud of her for standing more firmly in her truth and speaking in a different way. They're saying even just like the way that you speak to people, it's not necessarily the words you use, but it's how you use them, which I know we've talked about, but that's coming through again. How that's changed in the past, just like in the past 4 months, they're saying. I was going to say 6 months, but it feels like it's changed even more since then. Um, but it's like about how you're talking about these things. And they're saying that it, you're still kind of finding your voice. You're still finding like how you're meant to be speaking to people, how you're meant to be speaking about this. Um, and there's still some trepidation involved. They're saying these fears, they're kind of showing like these fears that are kind of trickling underneath the surface. Like it's like an undercurrent of fear. And you're not actually like, you're aware that there's something there, but you're not completely conscious of what that is. And you're kind of feeling frustrated because you're like, I've been doing the work and like I know all these things about myself and I know myself so well. And like, why am I not able to identify what this is to clear this? Um,
Mm.
and they're saying it's going to start, it's interesting because like there's this budding, blooming interest. They're showing me like over here. Of like this spiritual side of things, this like soul exploration is the phrase coming through. Like you having more curiosity about like your soul roots and like what it is that you're connected to and where you're going. um but then also it's like over here it's this energy of like wanting to make sure that you're obviously taken care of in the material realm and feeling like you're scared to explore more of what's over here before you feel like you're on solid ground over here. But then they're saying there's a part of you that wonders if you'll ever quite feel ready like over here. So you're like, should I just go ahead and explore this like the spiritual side with like the my guides, other beings, like can I do this at the same time? Is it safe to explore that, even though I have these fears that I can't quite identify, but that are percolating through everything that I'm doing right now? And they're showing like a sponge with like perforations. And they're saying like this is kind of like it's kind of like you feel this kind of airy energy right now of like this you're like this sponge that's like absorbing everything coming in and then you like wring yourself out and then it's like now I want to expand even more, but I hate the wringing out process. It's kind of like what they're showing me. It's like the expansion and the contraction. um okay, so as far as your business goes, so this is actually, it's funny. This is all about you like learning to trust more in your own inner guidance, in your own higher consciousness. Like they want you to actually explore more of I hold a crystal when I do this sometimes. They want you to explore more of your relationship to your guides. And like they're saying that's actually going to help, like you leaning into this more is actually going to help get clarity in your business. They're saying you're actually meant to be doing this from a more intuitive standpoint. And basically, what's happening is you're kind of washing away how, like, the prescripted method for going about creating business, going about earning income. Like, it's these kind of old patterns, old energies that you carried with you up until this point through your old paradigm, through your career that you were used to having. They're saying everything's different. Like it's all meant to be different because you're creating something that can't be created from the same lens or foundation that you had used for yourself before. And so they're saying this is kind of the way that you're supposed to be shown this is by seeing, wow, look what I was able to do in June. But now that I'm like kind of getting back, they're showing your mindset kind of go back a little bit, like back into what you know works or what you think like what you've been told should work or what you've seen
Mhm.
work for other people. They're saying that's not going to work for you because and they're like they're kind of laughing because they're like we don't like that she like is learning it this way, but this is like the fastest way, this is the path of least resistance is what they're saying. Like this is the quickest way because they're saying you're actually moving at a really quick speed and what you're going to be doing is going to happen more quickly than you're currently able to understand. But it does involve you kind of getting to know these fears on a deeper level that are really surfacing at this time with all of this. And they're saying it's actually all related. So the fear of like the extraterrestrial stuff and like the spirit in your house, it's all related to your own consciousness expansion, which is really cool. That just totally dropped in. It's not so much a fear of success as it is a fear of not being able to like hold or have the support for this like new level of awareness. And it's kind of like these old parts of yourself that are like grasping to hold on to this sense of familiarity and comfort.
Mm.
And it feels like you're really like leaving that behind. And you know this. But it's more on a subconscious level that you're like, I just don't know what this looks like. And it feels scary because it's unknown and you don't have a lot of people in your life that like operate this way or talk about this. And so they're saying this is like a really kind of in and of itself a big trust fall or leap of faith that you're taking because everything is meant to be done in a different way than what you're used to. And you are meant to be, they're showing you on a chalkboard, like you are meant to be teaching, which you know. They're saying that you, like, the more that you kind of resist or deny your own gifts, the more you're going to kind of come up against this resistance presenting itself to you in your external reality. So
Okay.
they're saying like you, and what I mean by gifts, teaching, yes, but they're really clarifying this. This is more about you trusting what you already know to be true and where you're being led. Like, you already know why you're facing this resistance in the month of July by like what these offerings are. They're saying she's already vocalizing it. She knows it. It's more just about this level of trust that needs to come in for her to be able to really open up more. They're saying they're kind of showing me like an arrow being pulled back, and it's like it doesn't feel good to be pulled back when you don't know that you're about to be shot forward. And
Mm.
that's the energy coming through. And then again, they're kind of showing me this element of like a surprise happening for you. Like they're like she's going to feel there's like I don't know, there's something next year. It feels significant and like 2026 energy, like not right away, but I'm seeing like April to June, or like summertime. Like I don't know. There's something they're saying April to July, but it's like with like firmly within that. Um, that feels very like, whoa, you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, I never expected anything like this to happen. And like, it's going to be one of those things. You're going to look back and be like, I wasn't even aware that these things were happening behind the scenes. And you're going to be able to reflect on your own growth and progress in such a new way. And this like impacts your whole family. Like, this is like kind of on a family level. And they're not really telling me more about it. Like, it feels very, yeah, they're like, she's not supposed to know. Like, but what they do,
Plastic.
yeah, they're like, because what they want you to do, they don't want you to see the full puzzle. They want you to just take the pieces that they're giving you and trust that you'll be given the next one. Like, all you have to do is just find where these pieces belong, and then they'll keep giving you more. Um, Go ahead.
Okay, so currently with my husband not working, right? Only works for me, but like not working. Um, and what I'm doing, all I have to do is have full faith that like we'll have money through whenever that pops off. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
okay, and I don't need to be like stressing about the earth things right now. Of like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, is it gonna work out? Do I need to go get a job? Does he need to go get a job?
Have you ever used the term, like, does the term full stop resonate for you?
I mean, like full stop, like everything stop. Like, no, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like, there's something like period, like full stop, hard yes. Like, there's like something like a phrase like that they're giving that's very much like kind of a funny energy of like, I don't know why they're just saying like in your tone of voice, they're being like, period, full stop, yes.
Okay.
Like, you know,
Because I'll say that. I'll be like, full stop right there. That's it. So
that's what they were saying, like full stop, like that, but like in your energy. So like that was just like a full yes. They're kind of like doing this with their hands too. They're like full stop. So there's really nothing that you need to worry about with this. They're saying just like they're playing this on Get Out of Your Own Way by U2 right now. Um, which they've played for me a lot. Mine have played for me a lot. But this is really about you like trusting that, yeah, even though you feel like you need to be making more money, and obviously that's very real. Like, I'm not never a proponent of being like, don't do anything and just trust the universe to drop $1 million in your lap. But like,
they're giving you aligned action to take, and that's all you need to be doing is like listening to that. And even though you can't really see how it will happen, what they're saying is if you try to do too much, or if you try to like lean on what you like coaching or something, like there's something about like what you try to lean on for income, it's actually taking up more space um, than what could come through if you just like allowed yourself to really open up into this and create more. So they're saying let it be as expansive as it's meant to be, and it will, and it is all coming in for you. Because they're really like they're saying like this is what you're here to do. Like this is like you don't understand right now the extent of what you'll be doing and how you'll be doing it. So they're saying it's really important right now just not to try to like grasp for straws or like put yourself in any sort of box or container, because like they're saying this is going to evolve and you're going to have multiple streams of income too. So it's very much so like, but not just from like your business. It feels like there's like something else you might be they're honestly showing me like something like a YouTube thing, like, or a partnership, or like collaborating with other entrepreneurs is coming through as well. It feels like there's just going to be more. It feels like there's just going to be more. And if you were to keep trying to do the like coaching that like if when it doesn't feel aligned, it's just going to take up more space. And then so when something does come in, yeah, it might feel exciting and fun to try, but you're more inclined to say no because you're too busy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I left traditional therapy. I was like, I can't create because I'm too drained in those one-on-one spaces.
Yeah.
Okay. And keep going.
No, go ahead. They were gonna move me over to the like spirit side of things.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, keep going. Yep.
Is that what you wanted to ask?
Yeah, that and just like Kinsley and Charles, but yeah, go to the spirit kind of thing. Just be
Yeah, we can
guided.
talk about Kinsley and Charles too right now. Because they
Because
actually
I'm
that has something to do with the spirit stuff too.
okay. Yeah, because I'm just, my husband is towing into spirituality. He's
Yeah.
like, you really have awakened me, but like I'm at the starting line.
Yeah.
And so some of it is when we play off each other, we're kind of like, oh, we got to da, 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 da. And so just anything, if they're like, tell him this or anything like that. And then like my daughter, she came through before she was born and she was like, Mom, stop stressing. Abundance is going to come when I'm here. And so I'm just like, she's so funny. So I just didn't know if there's anything around them that came through or that I should know or they should know.
Very much so. And like I said, what's happening next year involves them too. It's funny because what's coming through is this person it's a person, by the way, that's in your house. And when I say person, I mean like spirit. It's not like a galactic being. It's like it's someone related to you guys. That's like it's very like protective energy. Like which I know you said, but they're also it's funny because what was coming through right away, like while you were talking, that made me smile was they were like, this is just to like prepare her. It was like this is to get her used to this, but it involves not just you, it's Charles too. And it's really important for you guys to be having these really clear experiences right now because this is just kind of getting you used to more experiences like this that will start opening up in a really beautiful way. Kinsley's directly tied to all this. She knows this person. Like they talk is like what's coming through.
Oh,
Like
I see it. Her little eyes, and then that's why we're like, what the fuck is that?
yeah, Kinsley is like she knows that like why that person has told Kinsley that you guys are kind of like what is happening. Like Kinsley knows all of this, like on a very deep level, and knows that like it's here to like kind of wake Charles up, like to kind of the truth of all this. But it's also here it's here to kind of do that in his initiatory phase, and it's here to really ramp you up.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kinsley is just like she's here for the ride right now, but like this is very much so like tied in. Like this person here feels very like ancestral. I don't even think it was this lifetime. I think it was I think this is someone that like has always been in spirit for you. Like this is like a spirit guide, but like earth-based human who like chose not to incarnate with you guys in this lifetime to kind of have this position with you. This feels like someone who's going to play a significant role in your lives going forward. Like you're going to be able to like talk to this person and practice communication telepathically. You're going to be able to practice deepening and opening up to like your psychic and mediumship skills, which you do have. And this is also kind of what your guides like want this whole process with like your career to be around, like trusting that there is guidance that you're receiving, and to know that like you can move forward with that and trust that it's going to actually allow you to open up and feel safer with this energy that's in your house, and also just with more energy in general. And they're saying there is a changing of the guard taking place, like not right now, but like you're kind of being introduced to a new, what's the right word? Team is what I'm hearing. A new team in spirit. Like that you're going to be kind of interacting more with like more galactic beings coming in going forward. But they were like, sure, you're not really ready for that right now. So that's why you work with a lot of earth-based energies, because these are souls who have been on earth. This is just what you subconsciously resonate with the most, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, they're not just going to like leave you, like, but there are going to be more who kind of come in at specific points to kind of open up your eyes a little bit more, to like plant more seeds in your consciousness to allow you to explore even more. And this is actually going to help you really deepen your teaching skills, because they're going to kind of open this channel, and they're going to kind of channel through you, like as you're teaching, and as you're doing more with this work. Like you're here to kind of like, you're not just here to be a bridge. You're here to kind of flip the script in certain ways on like how people view these concepts. Like specifically, I'm like with astrology, of course, but like to put a new way of thinking around it, to put new language around it, to accommodate humanity's consciousness expansion. That's so cool. Yeah, that's coming through really, really strongly. And it's like Kinsley, there's something about like Kinsley's health coming through, and it feels like she's going to be like very taken care of in all of this. Like if you or Charles worry about insurance, or worry about like paying for health stuff with her at all, like if that's a concern for you, your guides are just saying like you don't need to worry about it, and like she'll be taken care of. And there's nothing in her soul contract that's like I need to experience something like this. So don't worry about that. They're also saying she'll be really well adjusted to holistic methods, whatever you guys choose to do. Obviously, like take her to the doctor if you want to take her to the doctor. Like, but they are saying her body, like she came in knowing that like her body will respond well to holistic methods, whatever that means, and like energy. So, and it feels like that's going to help Charles too, weirdly enough. Like he's going to like, when this starts happening, as she grows up, like she's going to like be really tapped into this, and he's going to start like learning a lot from her, and just like witnessing this, and then witnessing you. Again, this really just, I'm seeing the whole family being involved in all of this. Like a lot of times I'll see someone like on their own path, kind of away from their family. And that's meant to happen. But for you, I see this like as kind of just a whole family thing. This is like, you guys signed on for this.
That's really what it so feels like. And she said when she came through, she was like, Mom, you and I have been doing this. Our Saturns to the degree are on top of each other in Pisces. So it's like, holy shit. Both 12 degrees Pisces. Bam. And I was like, and she was a week late, which created that. So I know me and her have very similar karma. Yeah. So I'm curious, when I'm in these astrology sessions, like that was the first time I've ever feel like channeling, in the sense of I'm like, whoa, I don't know where that came from, but like it just comes.
Flow. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that my earth-based guides I'm working with when I'm in these sessions?
No.
No.
So it's funny that you ask that. Has this been happening like recently more? Or has this been happening for a while?
I left therapy, it was like certain sessions, it started ramping up, but the moment I was like, I'm a full-time astrologer, it was like,
yeah.
So April.
That is like the changing of the guard that's taking place. And again, they're like, it's not like an overnight thing. But that is why they wanted me to bring this up, because it's kind of like a not slow. It's a gradual process. They're weaning you is what they're saying. Like you're kind of like on training wheels right now. But again, this is why you're kind of learning these things right now about your business, and about like trusting more in spirit and your guides learning more about extraterrestrials, learning more about all this. It's no coincidence that I came into the picture when I did. Like your mind is really being opened up in a way that it needs to be to keep like moving forward on this path, on the trajectory that you're on the timeline that they want you to be on. So it's going to happen kind of quickly. It might not feel that way for you. And that's why they were showing me next year. It's like you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, how did all this happen? Because when you're doing it, you're going to be like kind of just so in it that you're like, now I need to do this. Now I need to do this. And you might feel a little bit stressed throughout, but then you'll be in flow. And then that's like the contraction and the expansion kind of coming through. But yeah, these extraterrestrial guides are like, this is kind of the new guard coming in for you. And so they have already started introducing their energy to you through channeling. And that's when you're doing that, when you're in the flow, when you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So you're already tuned into that. And that's also, it's probably also no coincidence that like when that started happening is when you started getting like really curious about all of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What was I going to ask? That's so crazy. Two things. In the past, they've told the shaman I go to, and then also the intuitive I go to frequently in Portland, said that the being has wings. Can you see that? I was just curious because like you and your daughter both are protected by these beings with wings. They're not angels. They're like having wings.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is? What alien? I was like, what the heck?
I just heard blue avian, which is a type of extraterrestrial. That's not their real name. That's like what we call them. They don't really have a name for them because a lot of these higher dimensional beings they don't use names the way that we do. But you could think of it as a blue avian. And yeah, they're very high dimensional. Like I'm hearing they exist like sixth and seventh density. And they exist in multiple dimensions, but like they have wings. They're like kind of bird humanoid, but bird like face. You'll have to look them up. But that is
no,
like,
I know exactly. That's the first extraterrestrial experience I ever listened to. It was a blue avian. So she like described them. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
that makes perfect sense that was probably that was who you heard about first then, because that's actually not a common one that I see people working with. Like, so they usually like they have very specific, not soul contracts, but like I would call it like soul interests. They're very vested in helping Earth humanity reach these heightened states of consciousness, which makes sense because that's like what your soul is used to. So it's a really exciting time for them to come in and be like, now we get to help you even more and become, this interstellar soul. So that's really exciting. But yeah, it's definitely blue avian energy. There's also there's Syrian energy working with you, and blue avians might be from Sirius. I'll have to double check where they're from, but you definitely also have Syrian energy too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so last question I have that's coming up is regarding my astrology chart, and like it's funny you said that your throat because literally the last 3 days I've been clearing my damn throat. I'm like, I'm not sick. Like, what is this? And I'm a Libra rising, so Saturn's retrograding in my 7th house, and I have to be bolder and stop people pleasing, yada yada, right? Like all that shit's coming up hard in my life. So it's just speaking my truth in that, but why am I losing my train of thought? Past life with Pluto 0 degrees of Sagittarius. Is there a wound here, an experience that's being triggered right now? Because it feels, especially when I had this like panic attack, and it's every time that the Schumann resonance peaks, it's like this overwhelming fear that I'm like, this is not this, like it feels too intense for this life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm hearing recursive. Like this is kind of like it keeps playing itself out. And it doesn't have to. Like they're kind of saying like this is like your kind of your breaking free moment. I wonder too, it's interesting because they're drawing me back to next summer for you. And like it's just, it feels like a completely different energy. Like you've kind of cracked open, like it's like a wave that you're breaking free from, and you can like come up from air or come up for air. Um, this is very much all a part of your, this is so interesting. This is a part of your soul kind of becoming a stage 2 evolutionary consciousness soul, like where you will be incarnating on other planets after this. Like this is very earth-based energy. This is very like earth energy playing out, which is why you're kind of confronting all this really difficult, mucky energy right now in your life, and why things have happened the way they have. And you're like in all this new, just this new space of like operating and new things coming in, but you're viewing them from in a different way now. So you're kind of stopping the patterns from repeating as they happen because you're now like acutely aware of them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So healing a lot of the karma that like I've just got looped in every lifetime. And now
Yeah.
it's like I'm done. So I can go on my expansion.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, me breaking free is helping the collective also break free.
It is. And they're saying too, like the attachment to it is like kind of what keeps you tethered to it. So if you can like say, if you can break out of like the like, or rewrite the script, almost rewrite the narrative from like, this is my karma and it keeps playing out, to get more into a mind space of, I don't need to be attached to this narrative. Like this isn't mine anymore. Like there's
Mm.
a switch that they want you to kind of turn on of like, this no longer applies to me. It did, and it served me because it got me to where I am now, but I don't need this anymore to keep playing out because I've now graduated from this.
Okay. Oh man, that like literally my back feels like it's like expanding of like, like take it off the back, like that
Yeah.
pressure.
It's that easy. Like that is just that's exactly what they want you to keep coming back to.
Is there something that okay, this is gonna be like a telepathic thing. Is there something that I need to do or say to someone or no?
You, to say that I'm telepathically, you
No,
mean?
I'm telling you, like, I'm like, okay,
Oh,
like, I'm like, you or the guides get what I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna say it.
yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying.
I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, do I have to do that thing? And so I'm like,
Yeah, you do. You don't have to. You don't have to. They're saying like free will. You don't have to. But they're saying it will serve you. It doesn't have to be said in the way that you've maybe rehearsed or thought about. But they are encouraging you to. Would you be proud of yourself if you said this?
yeah, but I'm scared. I feel
Yeah.
bad. I feel guilty.
That's kind of what's come, like they're kind of saying like if you were to do this, it would be like you kind of stepping into a new version of yourself. Like this is kind of part of this whole process of releasing the old like kind of stagnant energy. They're saying the guilt component of it too is yeah, okay, the guilt thing, it's tied to, it's tied to an energy that you no longer resonate with. It's like not really tied to like who you are now, or like what the energy that you're walking in now. um it's like you're ready to release it, and you don't need to hold on to it anymore. And they're saying it'll be difficult to say because you're still kind of attached to that. But once you say it, you're going to be able to say like, huh, I did that. I said it, and and nothing bad happened to me. Like you're going to feel more empowered, and I think you are going to feel proud of yourself. Um, and again, they're saying it doesn't have to be said in a certain way. Like you don't need to like put constraints around it. They're saying as long as you're in integrity and with your truth is what I'm hearing. Um, it will be received in the way it's meant to be received, and it might not be received in the way you want it to be received, but it's meant to be it will be received in the way it's meant to be received, and it's more so you actually saying it that is going to do more for you.
And this was coming up after our episode last week around aligned action. And every moment of every day, you're getting closer to that timeline. And who I am as a person, I've always just appeased or people pleased or focused on other people. And I tended to self sacrifice a lot of the things that I would want to say or do just to like make other people feel comfortable. And I feel like I'm at this moment in time where it's like, no, you can't keep just doing that.
Yep.
If you want to get to where you're going, right? That aligned action, like I'm in my way at this point, and I know I'm in my way. And that's why Charles keeps being like, Lauren, you can do it. You can do it. He's like that mirror. But yeah, I
Yes.
know.
Yep. You can do it. And it is going to change. Like you're going to be surprised. It's like another weight just keeps getting lifted and lifted. Um, yeah, this feels really right.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh.
You're
It's
welcome.
interesting to know a lot of the things, right? And I know you said this on the live. It is just so validating. Whenever you go to a medium, a psychic, it's so validating to like increase. It almost like turns me up of like, all right, more confidence. Like, let's go. Like you're on the path.
Well, I think that's like my goal, right? In doing this work is to mirror back to people and just reflect back what they already know and in a different way that like makes things click a little bit differently, but also just serves as validation and confirmation for them of like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like this, I was right about this. And sometimes it helps to like when you're in your head about something, and you're like, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? It's nice to have someone come in and be able to tap into that energy and just say, this is what's coming in clearly. And like, and then you're like, okay, I can stop thinking about it now.
Yeah, I stopped trying to control it. And I guess I'm wondering for me, whether it's my guides telling you, like, are there exact like tools, things I need to be practicing right now? Like, whether it's my deck or my pendulum, like, is there something you're like, yes, do this? Like, this is the routine.
They do want you using your pendulum more. That's like very much a permission slip, which is what I did too. And it helps you animate them, they're saying. So it'll help you like view them more as like personalities and like actual like communication taking place that's going to help strengthen the communication. So that's what they want you to keep doing. And then um, pay attention to like when you get those kind of channel, like when you have those channels coming through, when you are in a flow state. They're saying it's not just when you're teaching. There's like flow state that can come in when you're like working on something that lights you up, like planning something even, or like getting creative in your process. It could be like writing too, but they want you to just pay attention to like when these things kind of drip in and when you have like an epiphany moment. Write that down and write how it feels in your body, like where you feel it in your body, because that's going to help you trust it more when it keeps coming through, like down the road.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Oh my
Yeah,
God. I'm excited to see what's going to unfold.
I am. Too. I can't wait to hear. And obviously, like we'll be in touch. But yeah,
Yes.
this is really exciting energy. So exciting.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's so beautiful, like your gifts, and I can't wait to be practicing and dabbling because you said on TikTok Live, you're like, your soul's like, oh, I wonder if I can do that. And now I'm like getting more confident. Like, it's so
Yeah,
cool.
it is so cool. I mean, and that's what I'm here for. I think is to like, I want to empower people in this. So I love that. Like, just keep doing it, and like we'll keep practicing together too. But yes, I'm so excited for you. I
Well, I'm
also
just gonna, oh,
go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna plug you. So you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was gonna say, you can plug me. I do have to run in like a few minutes, because I have a client call. But so I
Yeah,
just wanted to,
I was just gonna say, like, I am hiring Marston for my parents' mediumship, and watching, like hearing my guides come through you, it's just like full body confirmation. So if you guys are looking just for connection, whether it's mediumship, psychic, spirit guides, like literally every time I've watched you channel, it just feels so safe and so validating. And so people always ask me, well, how do you know? Like, who should I go to? I'm like, I 1,100% trust anything that comes through you, and it's safe. So
thank you. That means so much to me. And I think that's an important thing is like whoever you go to for this, it's important to feel safe. I mean, that's the number one. So thank you for saying that. That means so much to hear.
Of course. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And we'll be back next week and we'll just figure out what we're going to talk about then.
It's going to be great, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.